Hello, everyone. Today we are going to be talking about grad school. I want to share a little bit of my journey so far with grad school with you because it was exactly this time last year that I applied to all the grad school programs that I thought I wanted to attend. So I think I in total ended up applying to 4 programs. And basically, just a little background info. I graduated from Clemson University with a Bachelor's of Arts in Biological Sciences, and I minored in brand communications. So my major was biological sciences, and I knew I didn't really want to go to medical school. I didn't want to go to PA school. I didn't want to be a nurse. I didn't want to be in a clinical setting. I didn't want to be on the clinical side of healthcare or of medicine. So I became interested in research and public health and things like that, and I came across healthcare administration. And so I knew that once I graduated from college, I wanted to get a master's degree. I knew that I didn't really want to work because I knew, to be honest, I just felt like I didn't really want to do that yet. I honestly just didn't want to. I really don't even know how to explain it. I just felt like I want to work on other areas of my life first before I just commit to a 9-to-5 kind of thing, basically. So originally I was interested in getting my master's in public health. And with that degree, you can research it. But with that degree, you can do a lot of research. It's like CDC, epidemiology, biostatistics, things like that. And then I came across a MHA, a master's in healthcare administration. And so I researched the two, weighed the two, and decided that the career path for healthcare administration seemed more invigorating to me. That just seemed more appealing to me. Working in a hospital setting potentially, or hospital manager, or small practice administration, or consulting, just so many different areas you can go into, even communications and marketing. Back to my minor, brand communications. So I weighed the two and decided on MHA. And then I had to figure out, where did I want to apply? So this was all, again, keep in mind, happening this time last year. And I actually am going to post a picture that I had. I made a chart of the schools that I wanted to apply to. So I researched MHA programs, and basically I decided which ones to apply to based on just where they were located and the prices, basically. So I made a chart. I applied to UGA, University of Florida's program, University of Southern California, and it was Tulane. And I had on my chart, I had everything: the GRE requirements, the tuition costs, application costs, letter of recommendation requirements, all of that. And I somehow applied to all 4 of those schools within the time period, all by, I think, by the new year, I, applied to all 4 schools. And I do want to give you guys some tips on that whole process. So for one, applications for graduate school cost a lot of money. Okay. When you're graduating from college and you even want to do grad school, law school, med school, all of that stuff, those applications cost money. I didn't really realize that. And they start to add up. And so a lot of the MHA programs that I applied to, you apply on this big portal website and pay like $150, and you add different schools to that. So, and then some applications were separate, so you have a separate fee, but applications cost money. To order your transcripts, it costs money. Okay. So that was a big thing. I just wasn't really prepared to spend money on that. Also, though, keep in mind, you're going to have to probably take your GRE. That's going to cost money. And prep for that is going to cost money. So be prepared for that. Another thing as far as applications go, so you will probably have to upload a statement of purpose, interest letter, personal statement, all pretty much the same thing. And so this was really my first time having to write one of those. So I kind of did some research on how I should format my statement of purpose, what the things I should mention. I kind of read some examples. Basically, I came up with an outline for how I wanted to write my statement of purpose, and I wrote it, and I had someone read over it and, edit it a little bit. I definitely recommend you have someone read over and revise anything that you write that you're going to submit, whether it's a resume, a letter of interest, anything. It needs to be vetted again. It needs to be revised, because you know, you can proofread it yourself, but there's going to be things that you're going to miss stuff because you wrote it. So I had somebody read over my statement of purpose and make changes to it. If you don't, I had, luckily a family member was nice enough to do it for me. I recommend even just having a family member read over it. Have it be somebody that you know that can just check for grammar or say, this doesn't really make sense. Have it be somebody that you know that's, you know, familiar with what your goals are, so they can help you format it. Same thing goes with your resume. Have someone read over it for typos and formatting errors and things like that. So basically, I ended up, finishing my applications and applied to all 4 of my schools. And then I heard back, I heard back from every school. Then I had to figure out how am I going to, what school is it going to make sense for me to go to financially, basically? How am I going to pay the tuition? How am I going to pay for transportation? Where am I going to live? Type of thing. And basically, long story short, I ended up deciding on UGA, University of Georgia. That's where I am right now. And a lot of times, by the time I graduated or close to when I was graduating and my friends were asking me, well, what are you going to do? Have you decided where you're going to go? And I'm like, oh, it's between UGA and, this school, blah, blah, blah. Still trying to wait on, to see if I get this assistantship to help with tuition. But my friends were just saying, like, they didn't understand how I was able to apply to all 4 grad schools as the semester was occurring, like during the semester. Not to mention, this isn't something I had planned on doing for years. Just last fall, just the way things were situated, I was not at all focused on what I was going to do next. I was so focused on trying to get through the changes that were happening, get through my classes being virtual. I didn't even think to say, okay, well, you do know if you do want to go to grad school, you're going to have to start applying now. And, I just had a mentor, thankfully, that initiated that in my mind and was like, get going, basically. And so I had no choice, really, but to get going on that. And it really did not take as much time as one may think, because you get the same people to write your recommendation letters. You uploading the same resume pretty much. You're just making tweaks to your statement of purpose, but it's pretty much the same stuff overall that you're uploading each time. So it really did not take that much time. I was just committed to doing it, and I just got it done like I needed to. So one thing that, that really helped me that I wish I kind of knew was, it's okay to say no to some schools. I know, when you submit your application and you have the interview, you go to these informationals and you learn so much about the school. And I'm very empathetic. It don't take much for me to just be like, yup, they a great program. I want to go there. I like them over there. But if that didn't work out, you don't be afraid to say no. Don't feel like, you're letting anybody down. At the end of the day, these programs, unfortunately, they want our money. But they understand the game. Like, they know that you're applying to multiple programs. You can't say yes to all of them. So understand that you're going to have to say no and just let that go. So this is just so, not surreal, that's not the word I'm looking for, but it's just so ironic because now it's a year later and I feel like I'm in the same position as far as it comes to applying for things. I'm not applying to grad school, obviously now I'm there now, but now it's the season for applying to internships as a graduate student. And that has been very interesting to navigate, and I would probably do an updated video, on that whole process once I'm finished with that process, applying to internships as a graduate student while you're in grad school. So I just really wanted to just reflect on this time last year applying to grad school and not knowing anything about graduate school or any, where I was going to go, how I was going to pay for it. But it ended up working out and I'm here now. Now, once I got here, there were some shocks. Okay. Once I got to grad school, I got an apartment, leased an apartment. First time doing that ever in my life because all throughout undergrad, I lived on campus. So first time having an apartment, having to pay rent, having to pay these bills, having to decorate my room, having to buy all these things, having to get groceries, having to get gas, adulting, literally adulting for the first time and being in grad school was a shock to me, but I didn't let it get the best of me. I just stayed true to what I knew. And it was crazy though. It was crazy. I was like, wow. As far as just classes and everything, I just want to talk about that a little bit. So in the summertime, I met with my advisor for our program. One of the classes I'll be taking, which was cool. Got here, was so stoked, take my classes. And it was, great. The the classes and everything have been good. It's I gotta think. Yeah, it's been good. It's been interesting. I don't know. Being a grad student is different because some things for me, I'm like for example, you know how professors lecture, they read PowerPoints, and for some reason, that's all undergrad really was. But in undergrad, it didn't bother me as much. But for some reason now, I cannot sit through a PowerPoint lecture. And I don't know why, because it didn't bother me before. I don't know if it's because our class sizes are smaller, but lecturing is something, long lectures is something that I really, I haven't had to adjust to. I think before I thought coming in, it would be more seminar-based, discussion-based, which they are in some ways, but, and I do participate when I want to. I'm the type of person where I'll participate. Yes, there's a lot of things I could say, clearly, but I don't want to be that person who's participating and it's like, it didn't really add much. You just said something just to say something. I'm not the type of person. So some of our classes, yeah, you discuss, participate. But for me, you can also show that you're engaged without talking. I think it's also good to stay in contact with your professors, email them, update them. That's important too because, like I said, internship season is approaching and I have to get letters of recommendation for that process as well. So how are your professors going to really know or be inclined to want to write a letter of recommendation for you if you don't have any type of rapport with them? So that's important as well. A really big thing about grad school is all about networking, guys. I don't think I've ever heard any people talk more about LinkedIn than now. Okay, it's all about networking, clubs, organizations. Not saying that you have to join them, but you need to be aware of them. You need to be aware of the opportunities within them. You need to, the people that I've come across, like in the cohort above me and things like that, people that have already done this, they're already very kind and generous with their information and knowledge. So they will already just be willing to network with you anyway. Most of the time, I think people will in general, but really you got to really just be ready to network, figure out what field you want to go into, what path you want to take. Network, guys. I mean, don't just be going through the motion when it comes to grad school like you can do in undergrad, because it's getting real. It's getting real, okay? Because, after this, it's career time, all of that, for people. And that's great. You get your internship, get your fellowship, get your career, whatever. You got another type of business that you want to do on the side. Boom, you got this side gig. Boom, you got this stream of income. Boom, network. And make connections. Like I said, talk to people, get it. You gotta really be networking. But it's cool. It's been great. I'm gonna do another video giving an update. I just really want to throw this in. This is really just a reflection on how far we've come in this past year. So, if you are also a senior right now and you want to apply to grad school, maybe you do want to do healthcare administration, maybe you do want to do public health, do as much research as you can, talk to as many people as you can, go to as many informational sessions as you can, learn as much as you can about the field that you want to go into. People are willing to talk to you and help you and guide you. You just have to go out there and seek the information, and you'll make the best choice for you. I believe in that. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I'll see you guys in my next one.